Well, hello, and welcome to my short Thursday video. If you don't know me, my name is Terri Cole. I'm a licensed psychotherapist or relationship expert, the founder of Boundary Bootcamp and Real Love Revolution, and the proud author of a book coming out in April 2021 called Boundary Boss, The Essential Guide to Talk True, Be Seen, and Finally Live Free. Who doesn't want to live free? I know you guys do. I know you do. I do. We all want to live free. Anywho, today I'm answering a question that came in that says, I have a friend with an addiction issue and I've tried many times to help them to no avail. What should I do? Well, here's the thing with what should you do. You can be a good friend. You've already tried to help them. But here's the reality. This is their fight. Someone getting over, getting through, learning to manage, getting sober, going into recovery, has got to be an inside job. It just has to be. So yes, we can apply external pressure if we really love someone and if they're in our family or if they're, someone's planning an intervention and they ask you to be involved with it. Sure, I mean, those are like structured things that might really be the difference between someone living and dying. So if you're talking about a real intervention, that's one thing, but you're probably not. And you're probably feeling responsible, I can tell by the language you used in your question, for what is happening with your friend. You can be honest with your friend. That's helpful. Sometimes we have to go no contact with people. We say, if you get help, I am here for you. If you continue to live this way, like for years, I've had a lot of addicted people in my life, especially in my younger life. And the truest thing that I ever heard in my life of being someone who had loved multiple alcoholics and family members and other people is that alcoholics don't have relationships, they take hostages. Now, I'm not blaming someone. I'm in recovery myself. Listen, I'm not blaming someone for their addiction. But I never had in my life heard anything that had spoken so accurately, that had resonated so hardcore with my experience of having a family member who was a self-destructive alcoholic, and how for me, it took me to get to a point of talking it out with my therapist and realizing that I was feeling codependently responsible for what this person was and wasn't doing. I felt like I had to save them. I had all the ideas. I would help pay for rehab. I would. But what was I really doing? I was trying to soothe my own feelings around this person's life being a dumpster fire, right? I wanted the pain that their dysfunction was causing me to stop. Now, of course, I wanted them to get sober too, and I loved them, and I wanted them to be the person that I loved and knew all the time. But when you love an addict, they're not that person all the time. So now you're dealing with the person you love and know, and it's as if they've been abducted by someone, or they've joined a cult, and suddenly they are a different person when they're actively drinking or on drugs. And even if they're not in that moment, right? Like even if during the day, because the person who was in my life wasn't drinking all day long, but what happens is that it warps your mind because your whole life is organizing around when you can drink, when you can cop, when you can do whatever the thing is that you're doing that you can't stop doing, right? What's the first step? Admit that your life has become unmanageable, right? You are not in control of what's happening. So this is a very in-depth process to get sober. And the thing is, when we try to help addicts and we try to be the savior for them, we are enabling them. Because a lot of times that helping, we call it unhealthy helping because it comes in the form of bailing them out. And I had a client once who had a childhood friend who had addiction problems and drama and, relationship problems. And, she let her come stay on her couch. And finally, my client's husband was like, it's been 3 months that Mary's here. It's not getting better. She gets wasted every night. Like, I feel like we've done our part. It creates drama in your own life that is not yours. And how did that really help Mary, the addict? It didn't. It just let Mary have a free place to hang out and get wasted for an additional 90 days. Maybe if Mary found herself homeless, that would have been her bottom, as they say in the rooms, or as they say in 12-step, jargon, where that would have been enough to motivate her if she had to go to a shelter. I don't wish that on Mary or anybody, right? But I'm not God, and I don't dictate what motivates people to change, especially with addiction issues. So that was the longest way around the barn to get back to your question, which is to say, you've already done what you can do. And the question was, what should I do? And in reference to them, you don't need to do anything other than tell them you're worried about them and be honest. So much of the time when we have addicts in our lives, we're not honest. It's like the worst kept secret in the world. Everyone talks to each other, everyone else, like, oh my God, they are just off the rails. What is happening? Are they okay? Have you checked in on them? But to the addict, it's like we're letting them think, at least this is how it was in my family, like that it was cool. They had it under wraps, And only when that person is no longer active, that person is now sober, I'm grateful to say, for a bunch of years. But what happens when we're doing that is we are definitely enabling and colluding with the lowest impulse in that person that you love. So if you really love them and you want to do something, don't act like they're not actively addicted. Don't act like you don't have a problem with it. You don't have to judge them. It is for them to take action. If they want you to go with them, you can offer, hey, if you want to go to a meeting, I'll go with you, right? That's something you can actually do that is loving and can be incredibly helpful. But more than that, especially if someone comes to you, they're borrowing money, they have nowhere to live, they lost their job. These are all the manifestations of the addiction, right? So visualize it like they're coming to you like, oh my God, I'm on fire. Help put me out. Help put me out. What they're not realizing is that they're the ones with the friggin' Bic lighter and the gasoline lighting themselves on fire and then being like, oh my God, how did this happen again? The addicted mind is so powerful and sneaky and twisted that it is a whole thing. So it's not just about someone being aware of it. If someone is a true addict, you are probably going to have to hit some kind of a bottom, lose something really important to you, and have the people in your life get healthy. So another thing I can say to you, when you said, what should I do? You could go to Al-Anon or Nar-Anon. There are these places that if the person is addicted to drugs, is one kind of support for people who love those people, right? Al-Anon is for people related to or in relationship with alcoholics. And I'll put the links to those things right in the notes of this little vid. This is a super painful experience to go through, loving an addict, but realize that helping them stay in this cycle of abusing whatever their thing is, that is not loving. That is avoiding conflict. That is thinking you can save them. That is thinking you're responsible for them. But it's actually not loving. Because what's loving is to realize that everyone is on their own path and that you really don't know what your friend needs to learn in this lifetime. And maybe hitting rock bottom and, pulling him or herself up by their bootstraps and getting into recovery and getting proper help, understanding, getting psychological help. Maybe that is exactly what your friend needs to do, but you can't do that for them. So I feel your pain. I'm not judging anyone because this is pretty much, I super understand this from personal experience. But let yourself off the hook because you can't be responsible for your friend getting sober. And if you want to stop enabling, then don't bail them out. That is stopping enabling. Wow, this got heavy. But anyway, I hope that it was helpful. I hope that if you're in a situation like this and you like this or it added some value to your life, please share it with the people in your world. Drop me a comment. If you don't subscribe to the YouTube channel, hi, do it, please, right now. Hit the little bell. Don't you want to know when I post new things? I know you do. Thank you for being here with me, because you guys are it for me, and I so appreciate you. And as always, take care of you.